Welcome to The James Rice Show, a humorous, entertaining, and sometimes thought-provoking look at teaching and studying abroad. Join the conversation as James guides you through his experiences and provides insights into how to improve your English and how to improve your teaching of English. And now, here's the man you've been waiting for, James Rice.
Coming up on this week's episode, the TOEIC scandal in the UK, the college admission scandal in the USA, the English waiver scandal in Australia. What is going on in education? We will review it today on The James Rice Show. Hello, my students and fellow teachers and educators out there. Welcome to this week's special edition of The James Rice Show. I am James, broadcasting from Toronto, Canada, with our lovely producer, Stephanie. And it is a special edition because actually today in Canada is a national holiday. So we're actually not working this weekend. So this show is pre-recorded. And it's kind of designed to help you understand three major educational scandals that are going on out there. The TOEIC scandal in the UK, the college admission scandal in the USA. And the TOEIC scandal, by the way, has not been resolved yet, but looks like they're doing some good things there. The English waiver scandal in Australia. And I'm working on a special show for our Australian friends to understand a little bit more about that scandal as it has just popped up on our radar. So there's a lot of these scandals and a lot of these news stories out there, and I thought it was time, while we're on holiday, to review these three major scandals. Now, the holiday here in Canada is called the Victoria Day holiday. It's a national holiday, and it is in honor of Queen Victoria, who is one of our most favorite queens here in Canada. She was the queen for over 60 years, and as you know, Canada was a part of England for a very long time, and the royal family has lots of special meaning here in Canada. And if you listen to the James Rice Show, you know I've met the Queen. You can go back and find that episode. Yeah, that's a good one to listen to. And so the Queen, we're having the Queen Victoria holiday weekend this weekend. So this is a special pre-recorded edition of the James Rice Show, and I hope you'll like the review. And we're going to break down those three scandals and give you guys a chance to understand and remember what those three scandals are. And we'll have more about the Australian problems and scandals that the universities are facing as we work on that show. And we have spoken to some great people from Australia about that. So that's coming up. So I want to thank you guys again for your support. Remember, you can check us out on Spotify. You can find us on iHeartRadio, as well as Apple Podcast, Stitcher app, number of different ways to listen to the James Rice Show. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to send us a review and send us some comments through our website, www.thejamesriceshow.com. And I look forward to coming back next week with a brand new episode.
The Study It textbooks are the first ever completely digital and interactive English as a second language textbook series. Once downloaded, these textbooks do not require a Wi-Fi connection. Students and teachers can use them anywhere, anytime. Used in over 40 schools, universities, and NGOs worldwide. Study It is the future of English teaching. Visit www.studyitbooks.com for more information.
Welcome back. I am pleased to welcome Wahidu Rahman from the UK. Thank you for coming on to the show.
It's my pleasure, James. I'm incredibly privileged to have the opportunity to speak to you and let you know the story of TOEIC, the test of English for international communication, TOEIC scandal.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with the timeline to your story. Why did you decide to go to England to live and study?
Oh, that's it's been 9 years. I have been staying in the UK. I believe for education, United Kingdom is the best place around the globe. And I had a dream to work for Bangladeshi Home of Foreign Office to represent Bangladesh to to the world. That's why I choose an English country to sharpen my English. I choose to sharpen my English. That's why I choose an English country, which was United Kingdom. So only reason education, and in Bangladesh, people believe that United Kingdom is the most great country for welcoming people from other parts of the world. These are the reason I actually, and another reason, okay, United Kingdom is the gateway to Europe. Those are the things attracted me to go to United Kingdom.
Okay, so did you apply for a student visa at a university or a language school?
And now it was a college, but it was a bachelor degree. I applied in City of London College in marketing innovation. So my student visa was granted. And then before I make the application, there is an English test course called IELTS, IELTS.
Sure.
So I had this with a very good score. I came to UK for higher education, and everything was nice. The problem started, every time you go for an extension, if you're from non-English speaking country, you have to sit for an exam to show them how fluent your English is. So as I am from a non-English speaking country, I had to do that test. I did this TOEIC ETS. So I had a good score too. I was extended for 24 months, and then in 2014, I had a letter from UK Home Office saying that on speaking part you used somebody else's, a proxy, to gain the score to get a good result on that exam. That was a devastating or catastrophic disaster in my life. Basically, I don't need a middleman to speak English on behalf of me. And then, the battle is going on in between me and Home Office for so long. It's been 5 years. I've lost my youth. So now I feel like Home Office might come up with some kind of positive proposal to end this scandal.
Right. Okay. Let me take back, because I think a lot of us here in North America are a little confused and surprised about what the Home Office is doing and asking of international students. So you were granted a student visa in 2009, and you had done an IELTS test. And what was your IELTS score, if you don't mind?
That was yeah, of course. That was 9 years back. It was 5.5.
5.9
years back. So it was 5.5 9 years ago. And then I had
and after 2 years, you extended
after 3 years.
That would have been 2012.
3 years.
2012 you extended your visa?
12, yeah.
And you did the IELTS or the TOEIC?
No, that's another called TOEIC. So I like diversity. I like to discover new things. That's why I did TOEIC.
Right.
So just to know how, just to experience different exams.
Sure.
So I did this.
And what was your score for that TOEIC?
That was 199. It was very good, 199. Yeah, it was very good. But the problem was, I have to be very frank with you. This exam done by 56,000 students, international students in the UK, to extend their visa. And BBC had a panorama in college. They found out some, proxy. They found that. Yes. And then what they did, they said, well, what we found in one college that so many proxies are going on, which means whoever did this exam, everybody is the fraud. This is the tipping point for Home Office to understand that for one college, you cannot really say all the students are bogus, all the students are fraud. We have been trying so hardly to make them understand. For some students, how can you say that all students are fraud?
Okay, I understand. So the one college, it was Eton College, correct?
Yep, correct, yeah.
And did you take your test there?
No. I wasn't there. My college was far away. It's just my college was next to, the test center was next to Tower Bridge, called School of Social Science and Studies. So I even don't know anyone who was involved with the fraud factory.
So you've done an IELTS exam, one TOEIC exam, and then did you do another TOEIC exam, or is the one?
Nope.
Just the one TOEIC?
One. After the allegation, I did IELTS just to show them that I don't need a proxy. I had a very good score. On speaking part, I had 6.5. And then I went back to the Home Office. I said, look, this is my IELTS scores, just to show you that I don't need a middleman to speak English on behalf of me. But they said, well, we are sticking with our decision. They didn't even really try to find a way to separate genuine students and fraud students. It's like we're a scapegoat because of one college fraudulent activity, and they believe everybody is quite criminal.
No, I understand. They think everybody is cheating. So you spent 2 years in college and then did the IELTS and got 6.5?
3 years. I spent 3 years in college, and then I went to another English. So I didn't need that IELTS, the second one, just to show the Home Office that. Just to show them Home Office. Look, if I was a fraud, I wouldn't be able to score this on the speaking section. So if you want me to speak to you, call for an interview. If you want me to sit for any kind of exam to show my English ability, I am standing by. But I never had an opportunity saying that, okay, there is a chance. Show us you were able to speak English and prove us that you were innocent. I'm looking forward for this opportunity, but they never proposed me this.
Yeah, I sense that. Yeah, so just to walk through you again. So 2012, you did the test, and did you graduate from college? And
no. I
received the letter.
I was the time I had this allegation. I was just about to finish my graduation from Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge. So I did this, but that's an extended degree. Okay. So I did this. Of course, it's in English, and after that, I had just before that, I had a letter from Home Office and accusing me using a proxy. And then they stopped everything. They said you can't do study mode. Basically, my visa has been revoked. I can't do study. I can't do any job. I can't drive. It's like living in an open prison.
Yeah. So you're kind of in your fourth year or your last year of the university, and you got this letter stating that you cannot study anymore.
Last year, that they cannot do study anymore. Last year, it was my last year, and after this allegation, everything has been stopped. Like just facing the legal battle against Home Office, trying to clear my name out from this hideous, outrageous allegation. So this is where we are.
What did the letter say, and what was their evidence against you?
Okay.
Against you specifically.
The letter says on the speaking part, it was on me. The guy spoke. The guy took part on speaking section was somebody else's. So I asked for the evidence because it was done by myself. So that's why I asked for the evidence. I was like, can I please kindly have the evidence? They said, we don't have, but the ETS, the organization of TOEIC, ETS has this evidence. So I went back I found ETS head office in New Jersey or California somewhere. And then they gave me another. They said, UK one, we don't control UK ETS body. You have to ring somewhere in Paris or Netherlands.
Just to let everybody know, ETS is the organization that handles the TOEIC and TOEFL tests.
Yes.
So they manage those tests. So you called the US.
I don't know about TOEFL, but I do know about TOEIC. They handle TOEIC.
Yeah, they handle.
I phoned them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I phoned them and I asked for, sir, can I get the evidence of my birth slip what you have, and you say that you have. You say it to Home Office that you have the voice clip. Can I have that, please? The robust response from ETS was, any issue should be in between you and the Home Office. So I came back to Home Office, said, look, you said you have evidence, and then I asked for the evidence. You said you don't have about the ETS. So I went to ETS, but now ETS saying any issue should be in between me and Home Office. So can I, again, please kindly have the evidence? If you fail to show a concrete evidence, then withdraw this allegation. But they said, well, we are sticking with our decision. And then, I had to go to the solicitor firm. Now it's taking forever to draw a positive conclusion on this. But very recently, I got a voice clip. Very recently, it's probably 3-4 months ago, I got a voice clip. The guy spoke on that voice clip. My English is way better than his English, and it's clearly not mine. It cannot be an authentic evidence. Any IT specialist can generate one and say it's yours, but it's not authentic, And then the voice, some kind of software designed in USA, they use that software, but in the end, the software company said this software is not 100% fit for work yet. And then we had a little favor from it, a silver lining from the code says, well, if this software is not 100% authentic, if it is not fit for work, then I think Home Office should understand that they should find a better way to recognize, to distinguish genuine students and fraud students. So the code process is too slow, and in United Kingdom, Parliament is the supreme. So we are hoping MPs and the Home Secretary and the Immigration Minister will rectify the mistake, and they will come up with some kind of positive solution. They will give us an opportunity to sit for another exam, or maybe a face-to-face interview with Home Office people, and then whoever passed that exam or interview, set them free. And if somebody cannot, then punish him, because he's clearly fraud.
Have you subscribed to James's newsletter? When you subscribe, you will receive a free Study It ESL textbook. Visit www.thejamesriceshow.com for more information and join today.
Welcome back to the James Rice Show. I'm very pleased to welcome Pamela Donnelly, the founder and CEO of Gate College System and author of the bestseller SWAT Team Tactics for Getting Your Teen into College. Welcome, Pamela.
Nice to be here, James.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, your company works to help teens with tutoring for SATs, application strategies, SAT prep, all of that, correct?
Yes, I have two companies, and my first business is a high-level services company here in Los Angeles, Valley Prep Tutoring Services. Wealthy families spend anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to work with my staff, and certainly what we're seeing with the current scandal in the news, we know that there are companies like ours that do that ethically and others not so much.
So what was your reaction when you heard about this college admission scandal?
I knew that it was a matter of time, James. This has been such a corrupt space for so long. It was inevitable that at some point the truth was going to come out. Meritocracy is a myth.
Now, can you elaborate? Why do you think that this was going to eventually happen? What was happening out there? Because, you've written in some of your LinkedIn posts that kind of caught my eye, which is why I reached out to you, that, that you're not surprised, and that the admission system or the application process, or what is going on that is making you feel that this corruption is happening?
Well, we're living in an age of a corporatocracy. So let's begin with the fact that economically, this is a massive driver of business. In fact, the second largest debt leader in America's budget right now is student debt, $1.6 trillion. So let's begin by acknowledging that this is a money matter, not just ethics of some individuals that did some really bad things, and they definitely deserve to be brought to justice for those decisions. But we're living in a time where there is absolute hysteria, and parents are driven to making decisions that are not ethical, because the truth is that the entire playing field is so uneven, and everyone knows it. So folks are looking for a way to get a leg up for their student, and there are ways to do that the right way, and there are people who are willing to do it the wrong way. It was bound to come out.
Now, why is it uneven? Is it just based on money?
If you think about the 15.8 million students in America's public schools, only 10 or 15% of those come from families with the ability to invest even enough for, let's say, a weekend course for SAT or ACT prep, which generally will run you about $499 for 6 weeks of support in a large room with a lot of other students. The kids who get into the possible colleges using services like my first company, Valley Prep, it really is a result of working one-on-one in-home with a tutor, and that does run you about $150 an hour, and most families can't afford that. So whether we're talking about helping with GPAs, helping on the applications, test prep, or the essays coaching, all of that, when you have those pieces in place, it can make a huge difference in the merit-based financial aid that a student will receive. So it's not fair if everybody doesn't have access to those strategies and that information.
So do you think that the main problem may be SATs? I mean, should those be outlawed?
I am wondering if this is the death knell of SAT and ACT. I've got to tell you, I have not been a fan of these tests for years. They're proven to have racial bias and other biases. We know that there are good people working for these organizations. Some of them I know quite well. I really like the individuals there, but unfortunately, the system is set up with all kinds of things that I have problems with ethically, including data mining of the students' information, selling that then to the colleges, to the military. There are a lot of things going on in this, what I'm calling that corporatocracy, that needs to be addressed. So I invite anyone listening, find me on LinkedIn and check out my articles. I'm really advocating for transformative leadership to change the paradigm. I think we need a new paradigm in America's college admissions process.
Well, obviously, I mean, this scandal has hopefully ignited that discussion. That's for sure. And my question is, how do we fix the problem? I mean, is this an admission team problem? I mean, is it something that can be born out of the admissions department, or is it, bigger than that?
I love this question because you're leading me right into my big passion, which is to talk about what we're doing with my second company at Gates. So the way that I look at this is public schools right now are not doing a very good job of preparing kids. You're talking about a K through 12 issue, not an admissions office issue per se. And in fact, it's a 9 through 12 issue because that's really where the rubber hits the road with GPAs and scores, PSATs, et cetera, that the colleges see. So what I believe is by bringing really the digital revolution into the secondary education system, we're able to move that needle for kids who don't have those advantages. They're first generation. Some of these are English language learners. They're at risk. And what we want to do is interrupt that generational poverty and those disadvantages by making sure public school kids have on a software platform in their schools exactly what rich people have been paying me and my team to do for years. So we created this thing called Gates College System. And you can see that at gatescollegesystem.com. We're currently in 7 states, and we're busting out live this year across the country. I'm very, very proud of the work we're doing because we are on a mission to increase equitable access regardless of socioeconomic status. And it has to happen, James, in the public schools.
Have you downloaded the Study It ESL textbooks yet for your classroom? The Study It textbooks are the first ever digital and interactive textbooks. Once downloaded, Wi-Fi is no longer required. Each book contains video and audio exercises, detailed grammar keynotes, reading and writing assignments, and amazing speaking projects. Grammar, conversation, pronunciation, business English, and listening textbooks are available. Visit www.studyitbooks.com for more information.
Now, another big news story that broke last week is an Australian Broadcasting Corporation documentary called Cash Cows. And it was released last Monday night, same night as the James Rice Show was released. And it's a documentary. It's about 45 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's also on our Facebook page, James Rice Show, and there is a link there that'll take you to the documentary. And there's also a link on our Instagram account, Connect with James. So if you are following us on Instagram, you can find the link to the documentary. And this is about Australian universities and what they are doing. And basically, there's a big controversy, and there's many layers to this documentary. There's many issues going around. So I'm going to talk a little bit about one issue, and that is called English waivers. All right. Now, many of you know to get into a university or college, you need to show your English level. IELTS test is very common. TOEFL test is very common. So you have to pass one of these tests to get into university. However, in Australia, they are waiving the English test requirement for some students. Yeah. All right. So you don't have to take the test. Yeah. And in fact, I've done a little search on Google under English waivers, and I found one such English waiver posted on a university site from Australia. And it states right here on their website that if you are not able to show that you meet one of the above criteria, so one of the IELTS or one of the TOEFL tests, but you think your English level, your English language proficiency is at a same level as an IELTS 6.5, you can apply in writing to the respective admissions officers for consideration for a waiver. So if you just think, hey, I'm a 6.5, I can prove it, and I'm going to write in, and maybe you're using an agency or a representative who can support that, then you don't have to take the test in Australia. And Cash Cows has uncovered this and put it out there. Now, in fairness, there has been pushback. So a lot of the Australian universities and educators are saying, hey, wait a minute, wait a second. That is not 100% correct and accurate. It's fake news, as Donald Trump would say, because many universities provide what's called a medium of instruction, MOI, which would say, okay, so if a student is in, say, a high school for 2 or 3 years and has studied English in another program or another country English high school, then they would be allowed to enter into a university without requiring the IELTS exam or the TOEFL exam. So, English could be waived if you spend a couple of years in an English high school abroad, whether it be Australia, Canada, or the USA. And, as many of you know, I do work at a high school in Canada, and I do see a lot of international high school kids coming to our school for the purpose of going to university or college in Canada. And I meet a lot of parents and kids, and I know for a fact that 3 kids that I have met this year who were not accepted into a Canadian university and whose English levels were, frankly, unacceptable, they have been accepted into universities in Australia. So an MOI would not necessarily be sufficient for a study visa. So the Department of Home Affairs in Australia can come in and say, hey, we want to see evidence of an English exam for any applicant at any time. And obviously, they're not doing this. And they're allowing the universities and trusting the universities' admission departments to check the level of every student that's coming in. And, something is not working there. And according to Cash Cows, the Cash Cows, the documentary, remember, some of the universities are using some very strange methods of judging your English level, such as, here is one example, they can combine the scores of separate IELTS exams. So let's say you get a 6 in speaking in one exam, but in the next exam you get a 6.5, they will combine those scores and say you have the level necessary for entering our university. And even one university, the University of Tasmania, they actually waived English requirements 100% for all of their students. So any international student didn't have to do a test. They could come in, according to the Cash Cows. And that is surprising. Now, we've talked about Australia jumping up to the number 2 destination for international students, jumping ahead of the UK. So my question is this one of the reasons why that they're jumping up? Really? Now, we have reached out to some friends of the James Rice Show in Australia about this, and I hope that we can have them on the show in the near future to talk about this. Now, in fairness as well, we want to be always fair on the James Rice Show. The University of Tasmania has just announced that they are going to allow an external review of their international admission processes. All right, so this Cash Cow documentary has, maybe woke up the universities. They're kind of thinking, well, we got to pay a little more attention here to what's going on. This is not good for us to show the world what we're doing. And so that's good. That's good. We'll see what happens on that end. And we'll watch. We're going to be watching this issue to see what's going on as we also continue to watch the TOEIC issue and the TOEIC scandal issue in the UK and a few other issues as well. Now, interestingly, here in Canada, an article appeared today in the Globe and Mail, which is a national Canadian newspaper, and the title, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied here, Stephanie, our producer, is looking at me. Yeah, I've been talking a lot this weekend, so I apologize. My tongue is tied. I'm making a lot of fumbles today, so I apologize. The Globe and Mail is a national newspaper, and it is the article that they released today is Visa Rejections Frustrate Efforts to Bring in More International Students. So most students have been coming to Canada in the recent years, have been coming from India and China. And a University of New Brunswick professor who is also the dean of the business department has said visas have been a big problem for applicants from Pakistan and Nigeria. Now, many universities on the east coast of Canada are having a very, very difficult time attracting international students. And when they do, they can't get their visas. So what he's saying is we're spending all this time, all this money, all this effort. We're going abroad. We're going to, emerging markets like Nigeria, like Pakistan, where there are many great students. And they're recruiting these students away from Australia and America and England, and then they're not getting their visa. And in Canada, it's generally about the money. Yeah, so the spokesperson for the immigration minister and immigration department here in Canada said it is very important for applicants to show that they can support themselves financially while in Canada. And the head of the colleges and institutes here in Canada, Denise Amyot, said in this article that it's often difficult for students from emerging economies to show that they have financial means to pay for their stays. So, You know, Canada is about the money, and Canada has created some systems for students from India, China, Vietnam, and Philippines to help speed up the process and show that they have the money to live and survive here in Canada. So what is this lesson for you international students out there? You guys have got to research your destinations, all right? Rules and immigration rules and visa rules, they are changing. You got to know what is happening. You have to do your homework on a country before you go abroad. There are many great things about Canada, but there are also many difficult things living in Canada.
Don't forget to follow James on Instagram at Connect with James for fun photos and updates on future episodes.
Thank you guys for tuning into this very special episode of The James Rice Show, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And we wish everyone a safe and happy week. And remember, be crazy.
Thanks for listening to The James Rice Show. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter and send us your questions or comments at www.thejamesriceshow.com.